The millionaire intentionally placed his order in a foreign language to humiliate the waitress, but the girl's unexpected response silenced him. Anna Kelly could not stand two things: when people snapped their fingers loudly in the dining room to call a waiter, and when someone tried to humiliate a person in a way that forced them to smile back. Dear friends, I want to get to know those who are listening to me right now. Please write down which city or country you are from. It is very important and interesting for me to get to know my audience better. Enjoy the story. That evening, the Heather restaurant in Chicago, Illinois was noisy. It was Friday. Groups of friends, birthdays, and business dinners. The windows reflected the city lights, and the air smelled of fresh bread and something citrusy. The bartender was just rubbing the rims of cocktail glasses with an orange slice. Anna started her shift as usual. Her hair was neatly tied back, her uniform was smooth, and she carried her notebook, pen, and a calm expression. She had been working here for almost a year. The restaurant was good. Not cheap, but not a flashy place just for the wealthy. Families came here, as did people with money, and those who just wanted to sit in silence. However, silence was clearly not on the agenda today. "Anna," the manager, Jennifer, called out to her, "pay special attention to table 8. Well, you'll see for yourself." Jennifer spoke the way people do when their heads are simultaneously filled with reservation lists, dessert complaints, and the fear of a scandal. She was a good manager, but whenever someone special entered the room, she started to get nervous. Anna nodded. Table 8 was by the window. 4 men were sitting there. 2 were in expensive suits. 1 was dressed a bit more simply, and the 4th was clearly the leader. He sat confidently, leaning back slightly in his chair, as if the restaurant belonged to him by birthright. He had graying hair at his temples and an expensive watch. His gaze seemed to evaluate whether the person in front of him was a human being or a piece of furniture. He laughed louder than the others. Anna approached. "Good evening. I'm Anna. I'll be your server. I can suggest—" "And here is our little star," the leader interrupted without looking at the menu. He looked at Anna the way one looks at a table setting, to see if it was placed correctly or crookedly. The other men smiled. One of them, it was clear, had a forced smile, as if he were both amused and uncomfortable at the same time. "Are you ready to order?" Anna asked calmly. "Of course," the leader said, and suddenly began to speak in a foreign language, loudly, with an emphasis that immediately gives away a person accustomed to speaking for effect. "And let's see if she can understand. This is a restaurant, not a cafeteria." He uttered a long phrase, adding something like "make it fast" at the end, and laughed again, like a man who enjoys his own jokes. At the neighboring tables, people began to look around. Some pretended not to hear, others grew tense. An elderly couple at a wall table stopped eating and froze with their forks midair.
Anna's expression did not change. She listened, slightly lowering her gaze to her notebook. It was easier that way, not to look at someone else's pleasure and humiliation. "I'm sorry," one of his companions said, as if trying to smooth things over. The leader raised his hand. "Be quiet, Andrew. Let the girl have some fun, too. It's useful in life to know your place." Anna raised her eyes and looked at him directly for the first time. "You ordered," she began, in that same foreign language. Not loudly, not theatrically, just calmly. "Veal cheeks, but you specified a level of doneness that is not applied to this dish. And you also named the sauce incorrectly. It is different. If you want exactly what you said, I can suggest a different dish." She spoke as confidently as she did in English, and added in the same language, "And with the fish you chose, a dry white wine would be better. If you like, I can offer some options." The dining room went silent. For only a second, but it was enough. The lead man stopped smiling. His lips parted slightly, not even out of surprise, but because something inside him had clicked. It hadn't worked. His companions glanced at each other. "What?" he forced out, trying to smile again. Where did you learn that?" Anna didn't give him time to recover. She didn't attack, she wasn't sarcastic, and she didn't act like she had won. She was simply working. "Please repeat your order point by point," she said, now in English, politely. "I will write it down to ensure everything is accurate." He wanted to say something sharp, but he couldn't find a word that would sound right in an upscale restaurant. Jennifer, the manager, had already taken a step toward them, ready to intervene, but Anna raised her hand ever so slightly. "Not necessary." "Fine," the man finally said, abruptly pointing at the menu. "This, and okay, do it the way you said." Anna wrote it down. "Thank you. I will bring the drinks in a few minutes." And she left. She went behind the counter,
where it was cramped, smelled of coffee, and the chefs were swearing under their breath. Only there did Anna allow herself to exhale. "Did you see that?" whispered Valerie, a young waitress, her eyes wide. "That's Miller." "I don't know who that is," Anna said, though the name struck her memory like a spoon against glass. "George Miller, the developer. They say he owns half the city. It doesn't matter," Anna interrupted. "He's a guest. He made an order. I took it." Valerie looked at her as if Anna had just walked a tightrope over an abyss. Jennifer approached, quiet and tense. "Anna, are you sure everything is okay? He could—" "Jennifer," Anna said calmly, "I wasn't rude. I simply understood what he wanted. That is my job."
Jennifer fell silent. Then, like someone torn between fear and respect, she gave a short nod. "All right, just be careful." Anna returned to the hall with the drinks. Miller was speaking more quietly now. He pretended nothing had happened, but his fingers were drumming on the table, a sign of irritation. When Anna set down the glasses, he looked at her from under his brow. "Where did you learn the language like that?" It wasn't a question out of respect. It was a question of control. "I want to understand who you are so I can put you in your place again." Anna smiled politely, the way one smiles in a restaurant. "I studied for a long time," she said. "Do you need anything else?" "No," he grumbled. She walked away. The evening could have ended there. Anna served other tables, took orders, brought dishes, and listened to typical conversations about health, grandchildren, prices, and how complicated everything had become. But table 8 kept her attention, like a splinter. Miller occasionally cast a glance at her, not an open look, but a short one, like a check to see if she was still there. And suddenly, toward dessert, he signaled with his hand. "Miss, come here." Anna approached. "Tell me," he said quietly, so only she could hear. "You aren't just a waitress." Anna paused. "Today, I am a waitress," she replied. "No." He smiled slightly, but the smile was cold. "You carry yourself too calmly. Waitresses are usually either frightened or they start being rude, but you act as if it doesn't even concern you." Anna felt fatigue rising in her chest. Not anger, just fatigue. The exhaustion of seeing a grown man, wealthy and powerful, still searching for a way to sting. "Shall I bring you the bill?" she asked. "Bring it," Miller said. "And you know what? Let's do it this way. You'll bring the bill, I'll leave you a very large tip, and you will say thank you. Just like that. Simple." It was said quietly, but the meaning was the same. Show me that I am stronger. Anna nodded. "I'll bring it right away." When she stepped away, Valerie rushed over to her. "Is he hitting on you?" "He's trying to." Anna didn't say the word humiliate out loud. "Just keep working." She brought the bill. Miller looked at it, took out his card, and placed a very large bill on top. It was an amount that would have made Valerie's hands shake. He said more loudly, "Well, what do they say in cases like this?"
Anna took the bill folder and replied evenly, "Thank you. Have a pleasant evening." She didn't add, "Oh, thank you so much." She didn't lean in. She didn't play the role. She said it exactly the way she said it to every other guest. Miller froze. He wanted a specific reaction. "Is that it?" he asked with irritation. "That is all," Anna replied. And then the man by the wall, the elderly one in the gray sweater, intervened. He stood up and approached table 8. He walked slowly and confidently, like a man who is not afraid of someone else's money. "Forgive me," he said to Miller. "I cannot remain silent." Jennifer started to move toward them, but Anna stopped her with a look. The elderly man continued, "I don't know who you are, and I'm not interested, but I know one thing. Respect is not bought with tips. Respect is earned." Miller looked at him in surprise. "And who are you exactly?" "Robert Wilson," he replied calmly. "A teacher in the past, a pensioner in the present, and a man who does not like it when the strong try to entertain themselves at the expense of the weak." Silence hung in the room again. Miller wanted to say something, but he realized any words would only make him look worse. He stood up abruptly. "Let's go," he snapped to his companions, and without looking at Anna, he left. Valerie exhaled. Jennifer wiped her forehead with her palm. "My God," she whispered. "How awful." Anna placed the folder on the counter and went back to work. The shift didn't end just because one man got offended. But inside Anna, there was a feeling as if a door she had kept closed for a long time had slightly creaked open. She returned home late. She took off her shoes, hung up her coat, and turned on the kettle. It was quiet in the small kitchen. On the windowsill stood an old mug with a small crack, a favorite since her college days. Anna lived alone. It was easier that way. Her past marriage had taught her, calm silence is better than constant fear. She sat at the table and allowed herself to remember what she usually didn't. Once, Anna really was a translator, not just in spirit or dreams, but by diploma and profession. She worked for a company with international partners, contracts and negotiations. She liked it. They didn't pay millions, but it was decent. Most importantly, they respected brains, not loud voices.
But then her mother got sick, seriously ill. Not the kind where you stay in bed for a week, but the kind where life is divided into before and after. Medicine, cues, tests, hospitals. Anna pulled through as best as she could. Her husband was still there then. Her first husband, Stephen. At first, he would say, "Of course I'll help." Then he started grumbling. Then he began staying late at work. And then he started disappearing on the weekends. One day he said, "Your mother is more important to you than your family. Fine, go live with her." And he left. Anna didn't ask him to come back. At that moment, she realized that if a person leaves when things get difficult, they aren't a spouse, they're just a roommate. She fought for her mother for another year. Her mother passed away quietly in the night while Anna sat beside her, holding her hand. After the funeral, Anna tried to return to her profession, but a lot had changed in a year. Her position had been filled, the company had been bought out, her resume got lost, and then the debts began to pile up. For medicine, for utilities, for everything that had accumulated. So she went where they paid quickly and didn't ask why she had such a gap in her employment. To a restaurant. First as a dishwasher, then as a waitress. In the beginning, she felt ashamed, not in front of other people, but in front of herself. It felt as though she had fallen to the bottom. But then she stopped feeling that way, because it is shameful to steal or to humiliate others, but it is not shameful to work. Anna finished her tea and lay down, but she couldn't fall asleep for a long time. Miller's smirk and his attempt to buy her reaction kept playing before her eyes. He thought I was obligated to be grateful for a handout, Anna thought. And then she caught herself on another thought. Why did he react so nervously to the foreign language? It wasn't just out of shame. It felt to her like there was something more behind it. The next day, a call came into the restaurant. Jennifer walked toward the phone as if to an execution. Then she hung up and turned pale. "Anna," she called out. Anna approached. "Miller is asking for you." Jennifer swallowed hard. "He's asking for you to serve him today. He's coming back." "Let another server handle it," Anna said calmly. "He said he wants you, or else he'll leave and never come back. And he also mentioned he would speak with the owner." Jennifer was in a panic. To her, Miller wasn't a person. He was a potential problem. Anna looked at Jennifer in silence. "Fine," she said finally. "If he comes, I will serve him, but I will not tolerate humiliation. Jennifer, if a circus starts, don't ask me later why I didn't calm him down." "Okay," Jennifer nodded quickly. In the evening, Miller indeed arrived, alone, without company. He sat at the same table, ate. Anna approached. "Good evening," she said evenly. Miller looked at her for a long time, then nodded. "Evening. Bring me a coffee, and let's talk." "I can talk while I take your order," Anna replied. "About what?"
Miller gave a small half-smile. "Are you always this proper?" Anna remained silent. He sighed, as if he were about to say something important but felt awkward. "Yesterday I crossed the line. It happens. You see, I'm used to—" He waved his hand. "Never mind, it doesn't matter." Anna stood and waited. She knew this type of person. They apologize in a way that makes you feel sorry for them in the end. "Are you really a translator?" he suddenly asked. "I used to be," Anna said. "And why now this?" "Life," she replied shortly. Miller tapped his finger on the table. "I have a proposal, not for the restaurant, but for you." Anna grew wary. "I'm not—" "Wait," Miller interrupted. "I don't mean it like that. I need someone who knows the language and who knows how to keep a straight face. I have negotiations with foreigners in a week. Translators are often chatterboxes. But you stay quiet." Anna looked at him. On one hand, the proposal was unexpected. On the other, Miller was still Miller. A man who humiliated her yesterday was offering her a job today, as if throwing a bone. "And what exactly do you want?" she asked. "Accompany me to the negotiations. Translate? Nothing complicated," he said, adding as if in passing, "The pay is good." Anna remained silent. "Why are you looking at me like that?" Miller asked with irritation. "This is a chance." "A chance?" "A chance is when someone respects you," Anna replied calmly. "But yesterday you tried to make a laughingstock out of me." Miller compressed his lips. "I told you I crossed the line." "And today you are trying to control the situation again," Anna said. "You aren't calling for me because you value a professional. You're doing it because you want to prove to yourself that you can buy me. I am not for sale." The words were simple, without grand expressions, but the dining room grew quiet once more. Miller froze. Then he suddenly laughed softly, quietly, without any showmanship. For the first time, it was genuine. "So that's it," he said. "Listen, you aren't afraid of me at all, are you?" "I only fear those who might stab me in the back," Anna replied. "But you strike from the front, so everyone can see. At least that is more honest."
Miller stopped laughing. "You are smart," he said dryly. "Fine, let's try this differently. I am offering a job. You can refuse, but I won't put on any more performances." Anna looked at him intently. "And why is this so important to you?" she asked. "Is it really that vital that a waitress works for you?" Miller was silent for a moment. "It is important," he finally said, "because I have a son, and Miller grimaced, he thinks money solves everything. I wanted to show him something, but it turned out I was the one who looked like a fool." Anna didn't expect this turn of events. "Was he here yesterday?" she asked. "No," Miller replied, "but he was told about it, and Miller looked out the window. He said, 'Dad, you're pathetic.' And you know what the most unpleasant part is? He's right." Anna suddenly felt that this conversation wasn't about her. It was about a man who, for the first time, had encountered the fact that the world is not obligated to obey his wallet. "Would you like your coffee?" she asked more gently. "Bring it," Miller nodded. She brought the coffee. Miller drank it, left a decent tip, this time without any theatrics, and left. Anna thought that would be the end of it, but it was only the beginning. A week later, a woman walked into the restaurant, short, neat, and about 40 years old. She approached Jennifer and said, "I am looking for Anna Kelly. Is she on shift?" Jennifer grew wary. "And who are you?" "My name is Natalie. I am Mr. Miller's assistant." Jennifer swallowed nervously and called for Anna. Anna stepped out. "Anna," Natalie said, "George Miller asked me to convey a message. If you still agree to help with the negotiations, it will not be his whim, but an official project-based job under a contract with payment through the accounting department. It won't be just words, and you can take some time to think about it." Anna was slightly surprised. Her experience told her that people like him rarely offer something official and transparent if they simply want to subjugate someone. "Why like this?" Anna asked. Natalie looked at her closely. "Because he respects those who aren't afraid, and because you told him the truth yesterday. He isn't used to people telling him the truth." Anna remained silent. "And one more thing," Natalie added. "He requested that if you agree, his son will be present at the negotiations. He wants you to work just as calmly as you did in the restaurant, without bowing down to anyone." Anna suddenly realized that this wasn't just a job. It was a test for him, for his son, and perhaps for her. She didn't say yes immediately. She asked for 24 hours to think. That night, Anna paced around her room for a long time. On one hand, it was a chance to return to her profession, to earn money, and to find a way out. On the other, there was the fear of once again becoming dependent on a man who believed the world was his stage. In the morning, she called Natalie. "I agree," Anna said, "but on my terms. A contract, official payment, and no personal requests." Natalie chuckled. "I thought that's exactly what you would say." The negotiations took place in Miller's office in a skyscraper in New York City. It was a large building, security, glass, and metal. Anna arrived in a simple suit, her hair tied back, a folder in her hands. She wasn't trying to look wealthy, she was trying to look professional. In the conference room sat the foreign partners, lawyers, and assistants. And Miller's son, a young man of about 25, well-groomed and confident, with that same gaze, "I'm the boss here," just like his father, but without the life lessons yet. He looked at Anna and smirked slightly. "So you're that waitress?" Anna looked at him calmly. "I am a translator. Today I am the translator." The young man raised an eyebrow. "Right, sure." Miller sat at the head of the table and remained silent. He was observing. The negotiations began. And then what Anna had sensed that first evening became clear. Miller's foreign language skills were not just for show, they were actually quite weak. He understood general words but got lost in the technicalities. These negotiations weren't about coffee and dessert, they were about millions of dollars and legal responsibilities. Any mistake could cost a fortune. Anna translated calmly and precisely. Where the partners tried to blur the wording, she translated it so the meaning was clear to both sides. Where the lawyers tried to push through ambiguities, she asked for clarification without hesitation. After an hour, Miller's son stopped smirking. He began to listen. 2 hours later, it became evident that thanks to Anna, Miller did not sign a clause that could have resulted in a massive lawsuit. One of the foreign partners said in his own language, "If it weren't for your translator, we would have understood this contract very differently. Thank you." Miller's son looked at Anna differently, not as a waitress, but as the person who had saved the deal. When the negotiations ended, Miller approached Anna. "Thank you," he said shortly. "Today, you saved the deal." Anna nodded. "I was just doing my job." "Even so," Miller said, looking her in the eyes. "You were right back then at the restaurant. Money doesn't buy respect. I realize that. Better late than never." Anna remained silent. She didn't want to justify him, but she didn't want revenge either. Miller's son approached and for the first time spoke without a smirk. "I'm sorry, back then," Anna looked at him. "Learn to respect people before life teaches you in a harsher way." The young man nodded, as if swallowing his pride. A couple of weeks later, Anna received an offer to return to the profession, not just for one project, but for a permanent position.
It wasn't with Miller, but at a different company, where the foreign partner, impressed by her work, had recommended her. She went to the restaurant to pick up her final documents and tell Jennifer that she was resigning. Jennifer hugged her like family. "I'm proud of you," she said quietly. "I knew you weren't just a waitress." Anna smiled. "Being a waitress is also a profession," she said, "and I am grateful for it. It taught me how to carry myself." That same evening, Anna saw Robert Wilson in the dining room, the same retiree who had stood up for her. He was sitting with his wife, drinking tea. Anna approached. "Thank you," she said, "for that night." Robert Wilson smiled. "I didn't do anything special. I just said what every man who considers himself a man ought to say." Anna nodded. "I am leaving the restaurant," she said. "I'm going back to work as a translator." "That's right," Robert said. "Just remember, wherever you are, never let people buy your smile." Anna smiled, truly for the first time in a long while. She heard about Miller occasionally after that. They said he had become calmer and shouted less. Some said it was age, others said it was an illness. But Anna thought, maybe it's not about age. Maybe it's because one day a man saw that his power didn't work and he felt ashamed. Miller's son once sent Anna a short message through Natalie. "Thank you. I look at people differently now. I don't promise I'll change overnight, but I am trying." Anna read it and did not reply. Not because she was proud, but because she understood that the most important things are not words, but actions. And she realized one simple thing she had forgotten before. Life isn't obligated to be fair immediately, but sometimes it gives you a chance. And that chance doesn't come with loud applause, but with a quiet confidence inside. I did not betray myself. That was the most valuable thing of all.